Hey everybody, one of the questions I'm getting over and over and over again is how does the Arcmira do with soy? So we're going to test it out. I want to give you a little history about what I'm finding out with some of the small milk makers, because most of the ones that look like the Nutr and they come from China, they are very explicit in not soaking your soybeans. So me being me, of course, I've soaked some soybeans. So since this is a little bit larger, the Arcmira versus like, let's say the Nutr, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a go. So what I want you to know is it could overflow. I know that. Let's find out if it's gonna work or not. Then what we're gonna do is I was thinking we will go ahead and do the Nutr versus the Arcmira on unsoaked soybeans and see what happens. But one of the things I want to say to you is if you've tried it in one of these machines and it's overflowed, it means we're probably going to have to use significantly less water. So soaked soybeans can create more foam when it's cooking and being, whirled around than unsoaked soybeans. So let's see what happens. So I've gone ahead and soaked about 3 tablespoons of soybean. Here are my 3 tablespoons of soybeans. And each milk maker kind of comes with its own measuring device. And I am kind of trying to turn them into measuring things that I can understand. Okay, and you can take your skins off the soybeans. I'm just taking that one because it was there. That's also going to cause less foam. So I'm using a regular measuring cup because I have 4 cups of water in here. I'm going to go below the min line, or just about up to it. Let's go just to the very bottom, and that is about 1.5 cups of water. So I'll put the lid on. Then I'm going to go ahead and plug it in after that. Then we're going to use the exciting setting that I've not used before. So remember, we just press this and it goes from one setting to the next. We're going to use hot. And it's going to go for about 20 minutes. So while that's going, let's talk about a few things. So the Arcmira comes with 2 little pamphlets that we haven't talked about, I don't think. This just is the instructions. And one of the things I love about this is not only does it do the safety precautions, it shows you the pictures, it gives you a control panel overview that tells you how much time. That's how each setting. So room temperature goes for about 5 minutes. Warm, which goes to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, goes for 5 minutes. And that's how we've been making our warm lattes with cold brew, or you could use hot coffee. You can make creamers in there, make them warm in case you do like hot coffee. I've also made chai. I've made a matcha latte that's coming up. So there's all different ways that you can do that. The hot is at 212. When the temperature reaches 212, it's going to enter a 13-minute countdown. And so all of them kind of end the same. You can boil water, you can keep it warm, and we'll do the self-clean. There's a delay start just like there is on the Nutr. So the Nutr is about the same size. And it has a little information booklet in here too. They all do. And this was talking about soy milk as well. It has a little quick soy milk recipe, and it's saying dried soybeans rinsed. So, and you have to use uncooked soybeans, which I think is strange to say, but hey. And on the inside, they're pretty much the same. I do find that this has more maybe insulation or something. I don't feel like it's quite as loud. And I don't know, I just feel like this one is a little bit more sturdy. This Nutr reminds me of the general small milk maker from China. And I will tell you, I tried soy milk in this one and it went everywhere. So I'm a little nervous about this one. But if it does, you know, it does. But if this doesn't work, that's okay. We can go back and troubleshoot. Maybe what we need to do is use less water. Maybe we need to use less soybeans. So there's all these different little things. And I will say right now, I have so many little measuring things that have come with all these different milk makers that I'm not sure which ones go with which. But this is about a tablespoon. And in the Arcmira for the soy milk recipe, they're saying 6 spoons of soybeans, which I don't know what, and it's boiling. So this is before, when it starts to boil is when the horribleness can happen. And that's because, right, pans boil over. All kinds of things can boil over. But I'm not seeing anything boil over yet. Fingers crossed. And what I did is I put the water just below where that minimum line is, okay? And I used 3 tablespoons of soybeans. I'm trying to kind of translate some of these recipes into my magic cup that comes with me into an actual like teaspoon, tablespoon, cup measurement. And it does have 12 minutes, so that means it did reach 212 temperature, so I feel good about that. So we didn't boil over to begin with. We still have about 12 minutes of it going back and forth, and we'll see what happens. It's blending with the hot now, and you can see that, can you see the steam coming out a little bit? Now this is the one I said I boiled it over. It just boiled right over. Now, one thing I want you to notice, both of these have little spout openings, but this has the steam escape. And I am seeing steam come out of there a good bit. I know it's hard to see on camera. You might see it a little bit more here, but it is coming out from these top. So I wonder if that is making it not boil over like the other. So far I'm feeling pretty good about the whole, this isn't gonna boil over and cause a mess. I think that with soaked soybeans, we have to look at the amount of water we can use a little bit differently. The machine we use could be different. Also, soy is harder to clean up. So if it boils over, it's gonna be a little bit of a mess. This is gonna be harder to scrub up anyhow. But yeah, I'm so excited because I wasn't sure if this was just gonna be another dud. As far as on all the other milks, I really, really, really like it. So I want to be clear, if you're not going to make soy milk, you can make lattes, and it looks like we can make soy milk. The second thing, other than is it going to boil over, is how is it going to taste? Is it cooked enough for me? And with most of these milk makers, you need to take another 15 to 20 minutes before you start another heated cycle. So we may be able to strain the milk out of here, rinse it really good, and then cook it again in here if we need to. Typically what I've done with the soy Bella when I made soy milk is I would cook it in the soy Bella, strain it, and put it in the Instant Pot for 10 minutes. And you could still do it with this. So I'm pretty particular, so I'll taste and let you know if I think, to me it tastes almost green or not quite done. Okay, so we got our 10 beeps. Everything's ready to go. There was no spillage at all. None, which is awesome. So I'm gonna unplug it and probably not grab at the top. It's not that hot for me, but it could be too hot for you. So be mindful of that. Actually, that's some nice looking soy milk. It's nice and frothy. Smelling it. I'm going to take a little initial taste, even though I haven't strained it yet. I'm not looking for how smooth it is. I'm looking for, I could drink that, I think. I do. I think I could drink that in a drink. Certainly if you were going to be cooking with it, it'd be great. But it doesn't have that flavor that I was getting from the soy Bella. So I don't know if it has to do with the cooking time at this point or the temperature, because I haven't compared the two. And I probably won't, honestly. But this, I think, is good. And let's use the strainer. I always use a fine mesh strainer. And this is kind of a double fine mesh strainer. So what you're going to see is this pulpy okara. And if you saw the soy Bella versus the Miomat okara, or soybean pulp, is very smooth. This one is also very smooth. And I'm very shocked because I was not expecting it to be. I'm leaning towards Arcmira is good for soy. There is a recipe in one of my little pamphlets. I don't think it is specifically for the Arcmira, that uses rose and date sweetened. And I think that would be a beautiful warm soy milk to either do before bed or in the morning. And this okara can be dehydrated, and you could put it in things for extra fiber and extra protein. Or you can mix this in mashed potatoes or anything creamy. And so it depends on how creamy this is. And this is really, really fine okara. You can kind of see it there. And I'm like right up in your face with it. Now, if we look into the machine, there's some okara at the bottom that didn't pour out. So let's scrape that out. The more okara we get out of here, the easier it'll be to clean. Soy okara just really sticks. So you can see in here, and you can even see around the edges here, it sticks. So what that means is we're just going to have to scrub a little bit. But first, let me try just rinsing everything out, and we'll put it on the cleaning cycle. I will say so far there has not been a milk maker that I've made soy in that I don't have to use a scrub brush. It's not like I'm on my hands and knees on the floor scrubbing, but with nut milk you can rinse and it's kind of all done because the pulp is a little bit bigger and it doesn't have that sticking power that soy pulp does. You can see, like right around in here, that a little bit escaped from its little steam vent, which is fine. We're going to open it up. Nice, hot and frothy. And one of the things I want you to notice, see how there's this pulp, this okara, and that's what doesn't always rinse off. Now, the one thing, I had to re-record this. So for this batch, I did something a little different to see if it'd be just a little bit easier to clean up. And see how I'm still not scrubbing it hard. But it's not too bad. What I did is I actually took the skins off the soybeans. So all I did was rub them together, like, see, here's a soybean skin, and took the skins off, just to see if it'll be a little easier to clean up. So this is quite hot, but I think I'm going to be able to pour it into my glass jar. If not, we'll hear a nice crack. And this is just me straining some of that okara that's going to be closer to the bottom. You guys see that? And when I'm using a fine mesh strainer, you could use a larger one, but this is my favorite way to do it, right into a jar. And see, that's the okara. See how smooth the okara is? And this isn't going to make as much okara as if we were using a larger soy milk maker, like the Soy Joya or the Miomat or something like that. So I'm going to scrape out what I can, and then we're going to look at cleaning this. And I think this is going to clean up a little better. You see a little bit about how some things are a little more stuck on the bottom and on the sides than if this was a nut milk. And I'm just going to keep pushing. I could freeze this okara for later. I could put it in the dehydrator, grind it up and make soy flour. That's what Marilyn does. I tend to put it in mashed potatoes a lot because it's super easy, and who doesn't love mashed potatoes? Nobody even knows it's there. Just adds a little extra protein and fiber. And I would say this is significantly smoother because of me removing the skins. So I'm going to set this off to the side. And then that's about 2 cups. I used 3 tablespoons of soybeans soaked overnight. Then I took the skins off, put them in, and then filled it up to the maximum on the Arcmira. So first thing we're going to do is rinse it. And everything isn't going to rinse out because it's soy. So you can see for sure down at the bottom, there's still some there. So here's what we have to do. You can put just like a little drop of dishwashing detergent. We could go ahead and run this on the cleaning cycle, but I'm just going to put a little water in here. I'm going to take one of the brushes that came with one of my milk makers. I think one of these came with the Arcmira. I turn this when I'm cleaning it because I always miss whatever side was facing me. So I turn it a lot. And we want to make sure that we get the bottom and we get around where the blades are. And this works really well for that. Some of the cheaper ones are might scratch a little bit, so just kind of see how it feels. I'm going to rinse that. And now I'm going to rinse this. So when we're rinsing it, we're avoiding this spot. That's where the plug goes. Okay, and if you look in here, more of the stuff is gone. So I'm going to rinse it out really well. Sorry, you can't see it yet because I have to see it really good. And then there's a few places over here I feel like need to get scrubbed a little bit more. And like I said, with the nut milk, it's pretty much just rinse or use the cleaning cycle. I do think this was a lot better because of removing the soybean skins. And that's all there is to it.